Hey everyone, welcome back to Three Real Tech Dudes. I am Nathan, and today we're going to be looking at a very special copy of QST, at least for me anyway. This is actually from the month and year that I was born. Hey. Anyway, so I'm just now opening this up, other than just a extremely quick thumb through. So let's take a look at this together, shall we? By the way, I just wanted to note one thing. So, you can tell like magazines if they've been used a lot or not, because they're like really, really, like this isn't bendy through here at all. I mean, it's pretty tight, pretty taut rather. And guess what? This one's barely been used at all. So let's start here. There's a couple things are open, but not much. This one's actually in amazingly good shape. So, straight there. Yeah. So it's the fascinating part of just the age of some of this stuff. They're still selling vacuum tube radios back then. So this is neat for me actually, because I still have one. I have actually a Drake TR3 that's all vacuum tubes. Of course, I just picked up a 991A. So we'll have that in a video hopefully pretty soon here, showing it off and showing what I like and what I don't like about it. But mostly good though, I'll be honest with you. It's been a good radio actually. So here's a Hallicrafters ad. That's kind of fun. I love the ads in some of these. Just seeing this stuff is just fascinating to me. Anyway, the table of contents here, of course. It's still February 72. That was a good month and year. Anyway, the Savoy Electronics, interesting. There's an antenna kit. Well, they used a vacuum trap. That's interesting. You can see it there. That's fun. Amplifier, Henry amps. They still make amps, of course, not quite like that, of course, but there's some similar concepts. I've actually seen a couple of these. I want to say maybe the 2K Ultra or something. It looked kind of like that actually at a Hamfest. That was kind of neat. It was on a stand, I think is what that is. Just fun. Section managers. Let's see who the section manager. So I'm in southern Indiana here. So let's find Indiana. Indiana was W9 eyeballs. Hang on. W9 BUQ. William Johnson out of Indianapolis. I don't know if the guy's alive. Probably not. I'll see if I can find that. If I remember, I'll put that at the bottom here. But I don't think. My guess is no. He would be very, very old if he was an adult at this time. So it's possible, though. It's possible. It's fun little kits to do things with. Little thing about the American Radio Relay League. That's kind of fun. Not a commercial associated with everything. It's actually a real neat read. Yeah, if you ever get a chance to get one of these older ones, older like QST or CQ or one of those, you really should just to thumb through it, just to see where, especially if you're a ham radio operator, especially to see where you've come from. I mean, obviously, if you lived it, that's great. This was a little before I was reading. Few years. But yeah. Audio filter for hum and squeal rejection. That's really fun. So you have to film. I'm sitting like an arm's reach away from this because the camera, you guys up here, and then I've got a microphone in front of me and all that. So this. I'm in a distance here. It's like I need glasses for this or something. Anyway. That's the circuit. That's pretty simple. It's just you got clipping diodes. You got... That's a fun little circuit. You could actually potentially build something like this today. pretty easily, really. I mean, it's kind of built in with the noise rejection now, and in modern radios, it's kind of more advanced than this, but yeah, a little bit. But still kind of neat, and it gives you a little idea on an oscilloscope there what kind of signal you're going to reject with. That's kind of neat. Seven megahertz linear loaded quad. Oh, that's fun. There's a picture of it here. So an interesting thing, the quad was developed primarily in I think it was HCJB down in South America. One of the guys that helped develop this is from a town about a half an hour south of here. I met the guy once. It was actually really neat. Talking about the reasoning for it and everything else. Maybe a story for another day, but let's see, high frequency atmospheric noise. Oh, that's neat. Neat. New face for the Carphon FM rig. Carphone. What is that? Carphone? I don't know. Anyway, I've never seen it spelled that way, so there's like, oh my word, how many vacuum tubes are in that thing? That's a lot. Like maybe 20, 1, 2, 3. Well, closer to 30, almost 40. Wow. That's a couple vacuum tubes. No big deal. It's really funny that it's just, especially if you're like in like vacuum tube amplifiers or some old ham radios and stuff like this, or just even some old AM/FM radios that are just, vacuum tube based. Just looking at the glow of the vacuum tubes, it's really pretty. They're horribly inefficient by today's standards, but they were effective and they worked for a long time, honestly. So we have one of our videos shows us using a tube tester to test some vacuum tubes I know date back into the 50s, and most of them still worked. So, there is that. Yeah, which is kind of neat. But second up, third doubler. Huh. Measuring phone patch levels accurately. So modifying a meter movement. That's called a movement. So movement meaning it moves, but the meter movement, which is kind of like this, it's just you can see it pretty well in that. Then they put some electronics on the back of it there. But so prior to digital, of course, you had analog meter movements, and they were okay, so if you pick up an old Simpson 260 meter, you'll notice that in this display it will have a little mirror, and the mirror is there so you can line up the actual needle movement with reflection. So you're looking at it like, that would be right, that would be wrong, so, and then you can get a more accurate reading. And the more advanced ones had that little mirror, just a little strip of mirror behind that. So you'd have the information, but you'd have like a little mirror strip to make sure that you're looking at it directly on. Tip of the day. Anyway. I'm just looking to see what they've actually done to that. It's kind of interesting. I have no idea what that's. 90 watt SSB for 14 megahertz. 14 megahertz is 20 meters. Interesting. Oh, love it when they give you schematics. That is still something done in QST today, is that you will get like layouts and stuff like this with schematics and things you can actually build and work on. If you have a amateur radio handbook, it's full of that stuff. using NAND logic. Well, let's see what chips they're using here. U2 oh, it's RTL. Okay, so if you see this where it says RTL, it's resistor transistor logic. That is amazingly old. TTL became the standard, and then CMOS, which is like a variable voltage able, much lower power usage, but not near as fast typically. But now CMOS is, they've kind of caught up. But TTL was the standard, and then RTL was the standard. So, or TTL is the standard. It was the standard back then. And RTL is something kind of odd. You don't really see that much. Fairchild 900 or 990 equivalent, or 9900. There we go. 9900. Fun. We just don't see references to that anymore at all. An experimental receiver for 75 meter DX work. That's fun. I mean, you could, yes, excuse me, vacuum tubes. Vacuum tubes and standard diodes. Yeah, it was common, especially at the end of the vacuum tube era, to have both vacuum tubes and transistors, and sometimes even high-end logic circuitry together in a radio. A good example of that would be like the the Kenwood TS930. That's wrong. TS530. Sorry, the TS530S. I think it is. Where it has a digital display, but it has vacuum tube outputs, which is fun. I had one. They work pretty good. Another one of those radios that's just fun to operate. And I hate when pages stick. There we go. Yeah, I can tell you right now, this magazine has barely been opened. I mean, you can really tell it. It's actually amazing. It's in amazingly good condition too. So you can see it's not yellowing, or barely. I mean, there's a little bit right there, but barely at all. Converting the pipsqueak to 220. So this is still back in the day when you had 220 to 224 megahertz instead of 222 to 224. Yeah. Back when I first got into ham radio in the very, very early 90s, and 91 when I was licensed. I have it. I still have the radio. I have 220 radio, and it is 220, 224, and we did use it. Yeah, I'm not going into the reasoning for him to take that part of it away, but let's just say it was not well received. Meaning, oh, you're going to lose this because you weren't using it. We were using it. Yeah. Anyway, well, that's a lot of variable capacitors. Wow. That's an interesting, they're calling it a recent equipment. Wow. Heathkit model IB102 frequency scaler. Sorry. Which, hang on. Okay. Funny. I have an IB101 sitting right over there. Yeah, that's pretty wild. That's kind of fun. An IB102 frequency scaler, which I believe is basically frequency counter. That is fun. Yeah, I have one literally sitting on my stuff over there, and it works. And the neat thing is, I don't know about this one, but the 101. Yeah. Sorry, the 101 that I have. I'll say 102. The 101 has Nixie tubes. And one of the Nixie tubes is dead, but the rest of them all work. So I just have it because it was fun, and it was really, really cheap. I want to say I paid $5 for it, so I'm not complaining. Oh my! It's more logic circuits. Let's see here. What are they using? Well, early Heathkit, that's hard to tell what it is, probably, unless it's got a... Does it have a list of parts? It might, though. Because all the Heathkit stuff came with like full schematics and everything. You can download. You can still find that and download it online if you really wanted to, which is kind of fun. The Ham and Hamlet. I don't think the Ham and Hamlet's the same thing they're thinking of. Anyway. Wow. It's just fascinating to me looking at this, just from the standpoint of what was in it. Sweepstakes. There we go. That's fun. A guy smoking a pipe here. Those were the days. Oh my. Can you see this? Make sure you can see that picture, okay? Look at the picture. He says the group of league officials gathered for this photograph during a league officials meeting at ARRL headquarters last September, which I guess would have been 71 when they took that picture. Yeah. That's an interesting group of people. Yeah, they're all hippies. I'm just kidding. Let's see. I can get a good picture of that. It's just, there we go. Yeah, isn't that wild? Oh my. Back in the day. Not much like that anymore. It's a little different. Huh. Well. Also, I think the modern one, the modern QST is a little bigger than this. It's not as thick though, I don't think. This is pretty thick, but it's physically bigger. This is actually really close to the size of the handbook at that time, which I don't think I have one handy here close I can show you, but the handbook itself is not much bigger than this. I wonder if they did that on purpose, honestly, to so they all be stacked together. But well, that's a Drake. That's similar to what I've got. The kid's got one there. Let's see. It's really close to the one I've got. It's not the same exact though. That's neat though. Well. The year I was born. It was just a couple years ago. Thinking about this recently, because just, I do that. But, if you want to really say, especially if you're roughly my age and you want to think hilariously about something that just doesn't make sense, but it's true. Yeah, so in Back to the Future from 1985 to 55, which was 30 years, is if in today, of course, it's 2023, you go 30 years back, it's 1993. The dramatic differences between 55 to 85 are not near as much as the differences between 95 to 2023. I just want to say, because, like, for example, you'd be like, oh, yeah, we've got laptops. Well, yeah, I had one back then. Internet was there, very weak. It did exist. Just fascinating, the differences. Oh, they're using some real high frequency, 1215 megahertz. Using a commercial dish? Was it a world above 50 megacycle? So megacycle or MC is the same thing as megahertz. So that is really fascinating. 144, that's very popular. That's the most popular band. In fact, the radio you probably saw on the thumbnail, which is this one, is a 2 meter. It's my IC2 GAT, which is in this frequency band there, which is 144 megahertz. Really hard to see it. Glare, sorry. I gotta figure out that glare issue a little bit better. I got a ring light on one side, and I've got one of these big, like, I don't know what you want to call it, studio floods or something like that on the other. But YL news. Okay, YL means, it could actually stand for young lady, but it's basically referring to like your wife or significant other. Think about the day. It's just, it's what it was back then, but probably wouldn't be considered too nice today, but it wasn't meant mean. It was just considering, like significant other. The term is still used occasionally. I hear it occasionally, but it's not near as often. How to DX. Okay, DXing is when you're contacting someone. For example, in a rare location, they'll set up a transmitter and you'll work that location, or you'll work them at that location, and they'll have what's called a QSL card, or contact information card, or nowadays just done through an online service. But and then you can say, hey, I worked Solomon Islands, or I worked Grid Square, whatever that's really rare, and that kind of stuff. And that DXing it, that's what it is. So people take ham radios and go to a very remote island, which is a very rarely heard island on the radio, and you work that station, which is you contact them, you give a signal report, they send you a signal report, and you just basic information, and move on, and then that's considered a DX contact. But, yeah. A lot here on DXing. It's hard to also remember that in the middle of this is still during like the Vietnam War, which is, that was still happening when I was born, although it was about done. I still love the ads. So the HW101 is a Heathkit. It's very similar. I know it's not exactly the same. It's very, very similar to the Yaesu. That's really close to the same idea. Let's see. This is a IM102. That's actually got Nixie tubes as well. Yeah. That's kind of neat. Let's see. The SB200. Oh, actually, I have. Wherever I put it, I've got an SB200. I was thinking it's 500 watts. Maybe I don't have an SB200. I have one of this. I have an amp similar to that. It's not the SB220 is the legal limit 1500 watt amp for HF, and I want to say it's a 500 watt. I mean, it's not the 200. Then it's probably. I thought it was the 200. If I can find that, I'll let you know, or we'll have it in another. Actually, probably have that in another video. I'll show that thing off in another video. A friend of mine literally gave it to me. Doesn't know if it works or not, but I need to go through it and kind of clean it up and test it. So may have to check that, but do video on that. Let us know if you guys want to see some of the weird stuff we've got, and like I've got a variation on this. I have the 101, this is the 102, but I have like a Nixie tube frequency counters, and I've got a couple of really old oscilloscopes, and I have that amp, for example. Let us know if you want to see that. That's throw us a comment down there and say, how we want to see that stuff. Yeah. Because those comments, not only do they help our channel, but they also help us psychologically, going, hey, people like seeing your stuff, and hey, that's really cool. Show it off, and that kind of stuff. Not in a bad way, just for fascination's sake. Well, that's neat. So that's got. Okay, so this one actually has digital frequency readout. Let's see what it's using. Holy cow. Okay. This radio, who makes this thing? I think just Signal One. This radio cost $2,195 in 1972. That's a lot of money. That if I can think of it, I'll put that. I probably already did, but I'll put that down here and figure out what it is. But yeah, this one actually is using dry plate. Yeah, so this has got at least an output of vacuum tube, but it's got a digital display for the frequency. So that's a hybrid unit right there. That wow. I don't think I've ever actually. I'll have to look those up, see if they're still around. I don't know. Maybe something to check out one of these days. Argonaut. I have seen an Argonaut. They'll show up occasionally in Hamfest. I'm gonna try and get this video out here probably in the next. I might do it tomorrow, which will be Sunday. The first? Yeah, which would be the 1st of October. So if you want to come see us at our Hamfest or at the Hamfest we're at locally here, it is. I will link to it and put a link down here at the bottom here. But it is the Hoosier Hills Hamfest, and I will. We will be there. So come see us. Say hi. We love that. Slow Scan TV. That's fun. 495. You can operate a two-way robot SSTV station. Wow. So Slow Scan TV back then, that had to be bleeding edge technology. Huh. Oh, here we go. So I've got a TR3, and the TR4 is very, very similar. That's TR4. Let's see. The TR4 was going for, this is $600. Wow. See if you get this reference. Ching. Oh my. Towers, beams. That's fun. I still need to get my beam up in the air. Sorry, Dave. I haven't done that yet. Drake's whole list of stuff here. So the last radio that Drake made that I'm aware of for general HF use was the TR7. And it is not one of these. It was a digital radio. And I don't know when it came out. I want to say it came out, if I had my guess, like 80, 81. That's another. But a friend of mine has a TR7. And absolutely loved it. As far as I know, it still works. I don't know. I'll have to find out. But let's see if Gary will let me know. If I remember to email him. Let's see. Beam antennas. Different books and such. So I thought it was funny. This was where are they at? Actually, I have one of those. So I always found this fascinating. So different companies that did other production books and stuff like that, like these, that is not ARRL, would actually advertise that in an ARRL magazine. Who knew? Radio Shack. There we go. The Radio Shack. I miss them. I have a lot of Radio Shack stuff. I still miss them, though. Cushcraft. They're very much still around. Oh, let's see. There still isn't a 2-meter AM band. Wow. Technically, my 991A will do that. It has all modes, so we'll do AM on 2 meters, but no one does that anymore, really. Two sidebands still done occasionally. That's actually kind of fun. It's good distance on that too. Oh my, yeah, I love the ads. This is probably the thing I find the most fascinating out of this is just the ads of stuff and whatnot back here in Ballons. I'm trying to see if there's anything I actually have. First, like 7-segment LED displays are starting to come out. Light emitting diodes. So I don't remember when the LED officially kind of came out for like general release of like, commercially and whatnot, but yeah, they were a big thing. I know that. I love those things when I was growing up. Those are like magical devices almost. Oh my. Linear ICs. If you see linear ICs, it's an analog chip, like a op amp or operational amplifier. Preamps and stuff like that. Well, there's 7400s. This is TTL. 7400, 7401, 02, 04. Neat. Spent many dollars on that stuff. Yep. There's that radio that was in the other thing with the display showing. So there's Payne Radio, Payne. I honestly have never heard of that. Huh. Very early HT. VHF FM transceiver, 5 channels. Ooh. It does 5 channels. Wow. $450. Yeah, wow. And it's crystal, so you're rock bound. If you got that reference, you've been around. Oh my. Yeah, back in the early days when HTs were just starting to come out, everything was still crystal driven, so it was a fixed frequency. And there was a pretty big thing to actually be able to move that into variable frequency. And I don't have it handy, but several videos of ours I've showed off one of the thumb wheel early ICOMs. That's a variable or VFO controlled 2-meter handheld. And those came out, I want to say those actually came out in the late 70s, if I recall right now. But tell me if I'm wrong down there. But it was, it's kind of one of those interesting things. Just the progression of technology. And the dry fingers I have, there we go. It's also back, so it's easy to learn code. So back in this day, you actually had to know code to get your ham radio license. I actually had to do it when I got my license originally, and very shortly after that, it went no code, and now it's completely no code. So yeah, it's a different day, I guess. Trying to see if I could see any other companies I recognized. There's a kit you can build your 2-meter FM transmitter. Neat. Parts. Give to the March of Dimes. Okay, that's what I was thinking of earlier. The Yaesu FT101 and the Heathkit HW101 to me look similar. They're not. They're different. But to me they always just seem to look of that age styling. I don't know. But yeah, it's okay. So look at this radio and you think they went from that. Yeah, wait, it's right side up anyway. You can see it better. To that. That's my 991. There's a big difference between that radio and that radio. Just kind of, that's the difference of 50 years of technology. Oh, these are all ads. That's fun. Okay, that's referencing the 1972 handbook. I don't know if I have. I might have 72. I've collected handbooks for a while, but I don't have them all in front of me. But yeah, that's one of the series of handbooks. Which is basically like an operator's manual / kit book / all kinds of things. It's really neat. That's fun. HAL. Huh. That's neat. It's an RTTY display, or TTY display. Fundamentally, that's kind of a computer into itself. It's just running its own program, but yeah, it's kind of like a set program. But I mean, that's the kind of technology that became like the early experimenters in computers and such like that, which is really fun. Yep. Yeah, that's it. Okay. Sometimes these pages feel like they're thicker than that. That's neat. Yeah, it's really fascinating to me. The advancement of technology. So if you watch like Stranger Things or whatnot, they're using the Heathkit amateur radio station, and it's kind of like this styling. It's older, which really at the time that was supposed to taking place in roughly 85, 86, it would have been very outdated. I have it put up right now, but the radio that I repaired, that we did a video of, that I'll try and reference up here, I think. Repairing the IC 751A, I think it was, which I have it. It's put away right now. Would have been roughly the right era if they had bought it new. So just in case you're curious. Anyway, that doesn't seem problematic at all. Regardless of the kid, for some reason, a diaper around a vacuum tube that's potentially putting out thousands of watts, or worse, the 2.5 megawatt. Don't put your kid next to it in a diaper. Yeah, anyway. So iMac, still around. They make vacuum tubes. And usually some bigger ones. So yeah, hope you guys enjoyed the look at the February 1972 QST. And it is, this one is in amazingly good condition. And I also picked this because if you get the modern QST, the current one, the one actually for this month, shows the cover to this month from 1972, which is not February, of course, it's September, but it just got me thinking, hey, I wonder if I could find one from my birth year. And, well, obviously, yes. And this one's actually really, really good condition. I'm just saying. Like, it doesn't... There's a little bit of damage here. I think it's called foxing. I can't remember what it's called. But other than there, it's actually in amazingly good condition. So that's going definitely into my my library. So interesting piece of history. Hey, if you guys have not had a chance yet to subscribe, make sure you do that. It certainly helps us with everything, and it's free. So it definitely makes our life a little bit easier when we see positive growth. And anything you would like us to show off, if you think something, another version of this, or maybe the CQ or 73 magazine, yes, that's other magazines, from the same year, let us know. And down in the comments or whatever. And again, make sure you hit that like and subscribe button, and hit the bell notification. Let you know when we release a video, and we're going to try and release more. We've been busy lately, and life has been busy. I think we all just need to sit back sometime, grab a QST, new one, old one, and just read through it. Anyway, hope you guys enjoyed this, and we'll catch you in the next video. Later.